What's going on, you guys? It's Zen and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the fight of all mega fights, Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones. This fight needs to happen now more than ever, as soon as possible. With Jon Jones getting older and Francis Ngannou getting older, they need to fight. The UFC, Dana White, has to capitalize off of the success of Francis in his fight against Tyson Fury. Obviously, this past Saturday, Francis Ngannou went up against Tyson Fury and arguably beat Tyson Fury at his own game. One judge gave it to Francis Ngannou, and then the other two judges obviously gave it to Tyson. It was a very close fight. Could have went either way. My prediction was I think everybody picked Tyson. It just makes a lot of sense. But he shocked the world and put up a hell of a fight, knocked him down in the third round, and damn near beat the man. And arguably, a lot of people, majority of the population, believe that he did beat Tyson Fury. Now, here's the thing, right? They need to do this fight as quickly as possible. Francis Ngannou is 37 years old. Jon Jones is 35 years old. The UFC, I don't know about the contract, by the way, of Francis Ngannou and the PFL. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea, right? I don't know if listen, he was able to go ahead and box Tyson Fury. So I feel like, I understand that UFC is a competitor, but this fight has to happen. This fight needs to happen now. It just makes sense. It's the battle for the baddest man on the planet. It writes itself. They're going to capitalize off of the amazing performance from Francis Ngannou, right? And arguably could probably have the biggest pay-per-view buys in the history of the sport. I don't think it will surpass Conor versus Khabib, but it will get pretty fucking close. I think they can break 2 mil with this fight. Maybe I might be over-exaggerating, but with the success of Francis and now everybody knowing about Francis Ngannou, now he's kind of more of a household name more than ever. You have to make this fight now. You got to make it. I understand there's a little bit of beef between Francis and the UFC and Dana White, but they need to put shit aside and they have to make this fight. This is the rightful fight for the baddest man on the planet. I don't want to see any other fight from Jon Jones. I understand that he could possibly fight Sergey Pavlovich or Tom Aspinall after his fight with Stipe. Listen, I will bypass all of that if you give us Jon Jones. This doesn't even need the heavyweight belt. It would make sense to have the heavyweight belt on the line. And here's the biggest issue with this, right? If Francis Ngannou, right, let's just say, for example, hypothetical, right, he signs a one-fight deal with the UFC to fight Jon Jones, and he wins. This is the reason probably why this fight will never be made. If it's only a one-fight deal, they don't want to do, this fight just because Francis is probably not going to come back to the UFC after his fight with Jon Jones. That's the biggest problem with this, and it pisses me off. You need to think about it, long-term. Obviously, it's not the greatest thing for you, but at that time, you can make history. This is a history-making fight. I don't think people understand how big this fight is, especially after Saturday night, this past Saturday. This fight is, now just got elevated to a whole nother level with the performance of Francis Ngannou. That past Saturday showed us that Francis Ngannou is a pretty solid boxer. And he went into a completely different sport, one that he's never boxed. First ever pro boxing fight, and went in against the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury, and arguably beat Tyson Fury. By the way, Francis is 2 years older than Tyson Fury, right? So that even makes it even more impressive. He was older than him, and an amateur in the game, pretty much no experience in boxing, and he does that. With now Jon Jones, arguably the greatest of all time, I think he is the greatest MMA fighter of all time, versus the man who went into a different sport and dominated, and arguably became the baddest man on the planet that night. It writes itself. I mean, listen, this will be one of the biggest fights, probably the second biggest fight in MMA history, in UFC history, and it needs to happen. I understand long term for the UFC, it's not great, but right now you have to think about what it could possibly do, what the numbers it will pull, right? It's going to pull insane numbers. The amount of just clicks on social media that you're going to do, the amount of pay-per-view buys that you're going to do, the amount of eyes that are going to be on the sport of MMA, it is beneficial for not only Francis, also for Jon Jones if he does win, and the UFC. It is big time. Absolutely big time. But here's the problem. They will probably never do it. They will probably never do it. This fight will never happen. And I'm just saying shit right now. But I mean, listen, it's because I am stressing you that this fight, now more than ever, especially in the next few years, I mean, listen, Jones is arguably going to fight one more time, and that's it. But if you can get Francis and Jon Jones, and you can give them, hey, listen, give them all the money in the world that they can possibly have. They have enough money to fucking give them. You can put the undercard with a bunch of, I mean, you can put some decent fights in there. Don't make the card absolutely awful aside of the main event. But, like, give them what they rightfully deserve. Give them a shitload of money. Listen, the UFC can afford it because what they're going to make in return is what's beneficial for the UFC, what is beneficial for the sport. And we'll see what the numbers are going to be for this pay-per-view. I believe it's going to do big numbers. If Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora did 500,000 pay-per-view buys, I'm pretty sure this one did well over 800,000. Let's just be honest. It could have possibly done over 1 million, right? They have to do this fight. Jon Jones, Francis Ngannou, now more than ever. Do it. Book it. Do what you need to do. Get in contact with the PFL. Like, listen, PFL, we just want to do this one-time deal. And fuck it. It could do a UFC X PFL. They're both under the same brand, ESPN. UFC X PFL. Like, make it a crazy a crazy event, and I feel like this can do massive numbers. I really genuinely believe so. Because now, this got me even more excited for a Jones versus Francis Ngannou fight, which we'll probably never see. But I feel like, listen, with the PFL being under the ESPN brand, same thing with the UFC, right? I feel like this is somewhat possible. Like, kind of possible. It's like a 2% chance. It's not a high chance, but there's a chance. But hopefully, they can do it. But that's pretty much my video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you are new. If you like, UFC and MMA and all that good stuff, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. And yeah, God bless you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.